If you struggle with creating good habits, realize it's a process. So in February, I decided I was going to get in elite shape again. So I started eating healthy, eating correctly, working out every day. It's been about 6 months now, and I'm down 20 pounds and right at the point where I'm trying to get rid of this last little bit of fat I have here, just a little bit on the belt line. But once that gets done, I'll start to bulk up again. And I haven't been in this great a shape for a long time. So had to get that habit in place and to start that building block. And now that building block is just in maintenance mode. I'm still working hard at working out every day, 5 days a week. But I'm also adding little bits. Like I started walking in the mornings. I did a video a few days ago about that. And running in the afternoons, just short runs, not long and not long walks, but just adding to it so I can continue to build that physical health aspect. I also started journaling, making sure I do that every day. I find when I don't type, it does better actually for me to type and write than it does to do anything else. But usually typing is the best for me. But I find that when I journal, it just gets out anything that I just have in that I don't express. And I find that if I don't do it over a period of a week or so, I start to build up either anxiety or anger or whatever it is. And so just that journaling really does make a difference emotionally and mentally. So that's another piece. I'm trying to fit these in to my day, and because I think habits are best done if you're consistent and that you habit stack. And that was from the book Atomic Habits, but it talks about when you do one thing, if you can add another thing to it at that point. Like for instance, in the morning when I get up, I try to pray first, and then I do my Bible reading right after that, and then I usually go for a quick walk. So those habits stacked 1, 2, 3, kind of make sure that you do those 3 or whatever ones you're trying to get done. If you can do them in a row, that often makes a big difference. Habit stacking. Thank you, James Clear. Next one was experiences. So this week, the last couple days, I've been planning our itinerary for Yellowstone. So we're leaving next Saturday. We have a great trip planned. We've done that the last few years, and this year we have a couple of families joining us, which I'm really excited about. And so we're going to do some zip lining. We're going to do some horseback riding. We're going to go into the park and see all the sights there, as well as do some fly fishing, well, my favorite part. And we'll have a couple other things as well. There's always lots to do there. We stay in Big Sky, Montana, and a log cabin, and it's kind of like this, but it's great. That's one of my favorite places to be in the fall, is in the mountains, and looking forward to that trip. And that's another part of your life, is experiences. So physical health, emotional and mental health, experiences. And then one more, learning. Really been trying to focus on learning for this time. I feel like that's a stage that I'm in, and I really want to make sure I'm continuing to grow and stretch myself, because if I am wanting to help others develop a life that they love, I have to be loving my life. And I know for me that I have to be learning, or I just feel stale, and I hate feeling stale. So learning, very, very, very important part. So some of the things I'm learning, is it backwards? Cues. It's about how do you make sure that how you're trying to communicate matches what you're trying to communicate, and that your nonverbals can often give a different message than what you're actually trying to get across. So very, very good book, actually, and I'm enjoying that. Got another one, The Motivation Manifesto. Like that one. Got too many books going. That's part of the problem here. This one's knock myself out with it. Look at how thick that guy is. Boundaries, or Boundless. Got it mixed up. Was that a Freudian slip? Boundaries? Do I need boundaries for not as many books? Maybe that would be part of it. And then lastly, I got more that I'm reading, but this one's the Greatness Mindset, and then Building Your Money Machine. So got way too many books going here, but just learning a lot about different parts of growth, and how to get good thoughts in my mind, and how to find frameworks that help me grow in those areas. So if you're struggling with good habits, it's, again, how do you fit all these things into your life? And it's taken me about 6 months, but I feel like the pieces are starting to fit together better, because one of the things this guy named Phil M. Jones teaches is he says that if you had a choice of do you do your best or do you just do better, if someone says do you do your better or do you do your best, if you ask someone, most people would say they want to do their best. But he says that actually doing better over time, if you do better and you practice more often, that's going to beat your best a few times much better than just doing what. When people say they do their best, they often don't take the time to do it consistently. But if you just do better every time, you actually get a higher ceiling of where you can get as far as what your best is. Oh, not sure if that makes sense, but I do like the thought of it as far as just taking action to get better over time beats best usually. And that was his point. The last thing I want to share from him, from Phil Jones, is he talked about at the end of the week. And that's what I'm going to start doing and that's what I'm doing this video today, is he talked about having a little bit of a reflection time where you do, he says, LB versus NT. And LB means what did I like best? And NT means what would I want to do next time? And I think that's a really good idea because, like he was saying, when we're trying to improve, it helps if we can really reflect on what we liked best or what we learned. And then also, what would we want to do next time? Oftentimes we choose things like, oh, what did I like and what did I dislike, or what went well and what was not going well. And he says it's a little different frame to say, how would I improve it next time? And I know that's true, but I like the idea of not looking at what we didn't like or what was wrong or whatever. It's more of a learning posture, and I think that's important. So what did I like best this week? I tried to share some of those things already as far as the books and things that I'm learning. But I also wanted to focus on this thing, which is that it's a quote by Erwin McManus that says, humans are the only species that create futures. And I think that's, in a way, something of our divine nature that we got from God. God spoke, let there be light, and there was light. He had the ability to create a future and create the earth and the heavens and all of that. And I think we also have that in us, even though I'm just starting to understand this, that we can create things in our mind and then we can actually make them happen in real life. And thus the physical and emotional and learning and experiences, we conceive of them and then you go out and make them happen, and it creates a life that you love, not just one that you like. And so I'm seeing that's been my desire to create that this year. And over the last 6 months, I feel like I've made some progress, and that feels really good. End with this. Last year in August, we also went to Yellowstone, and last year just Laurel and I went. We had a really good time. And on the way there, I picked up a book. I was looking for one book, and I found a different book called The 6 Working Geniuses by Patrick Lencioni. And as I read that, if you're familiar with Lencioni, he always does like a fable, and then he does his lesson after that, half and half in the book. And the fable part was like exactly where I was. I was in a job that I liked and I enjoyed, and I was doing well as a leader and financially. However, it was becoming more and more consistently, like on Sundays, I would be like just down and didn't really want to go back to work on Monday, and just had this blah feeling. And in the book, that's exactly what he's describing. And what he said he discovered was that for him, he had these 6 working geniuses, and that there's usually 2 that you do really well that give you energy. And it's all about what gives you energy. There's usually 2 that are kind of neutral, and there's 2 that drain energy from you. And what I found as I read through the book was like, wow, this is right exactly where I'm at. But I also found that similar to what he was saying, he had different working geniuses than I did, but there was one that overlapped. And I was doing far too many tasks in those areas of my working geniuses that drained me. And they were at the very, it's kind of like a 10,000 feet to the ground level. And the 2 ground level ones, and the actual analogy that he uses is called widget. One is, what's the W, is wonder. I is ideation. D is discernment, G is galvanizing, E is enablement, and T is tenacity. And in the work I was doing at that point last year, I was doing way too much in the enablement and tenacity area. And actually, my working geniuses are more in the discernment and galvanizing areas. When I do those, I get energy. When I do the other two, the last two, the enablement and the tenacity, I lose energy. And the other two are kind of neutral for me, but I was doing far too many in the ones that didn't bring me energy. So as I was contemplating that on our trip to Yellowstone, Laurel and I had a great time. But all over that week, I started to realize, hey, I think it's time for me to do something else. And that was scary because at the time I was doing really well. And I still felt like, I think it's time to move on. And in my prayers, it felt like it wasn't time quite yet. But actually within that next month, I really felt very clearly like, yeah, it's something I'm going to do and want to do. And it was scary in a lot of ways, but I really feel now, almost a year later, like it was a good decision. And even though everything's not clear and there's still some parts that I really need to make sure fall into place, I just feel like it was a good learning and really a time where it gave me a vision or a picture of what was coming, and that life could be even more what I loved instead of last year. I liked what I was doing, but I wouldn't say I would loved it. And this year I feel like I love what I'm doing, and that's a really good feeling. So I hope that wherever you're at in your life, you are learning to like it and creating habits that will put in place things that will actually allow you to love your life. So those are a couple ideas. See ya.